Yes.
Is that right?
That is correct. This whole thing is spiritual. I started calling out to the Lord, but then the demons appeared and they said, he can't hear you. I'm dealing with the voice of the Lord every moment telling me to get out of there. If you got that opportunity, you had to take advantage of it because the competition was very stiff.
I'll never forget the sound of the chanting. In court, a former employee took the stand and revealed details that left the entire room in stunned silence. What they described next didn't just shock the jury, it sent ripples through the entire industry. From cryptic symbols to chilling ceremonies allegedly taking place inside Diddy's mansion, the testimony painted a disturbing picture. This could change everything. What really went on behind those luxurious walls? Stay tuned as we uncover every unsettling detail.
With the voice of the Lord every moment telling me to get out of there.
Like,
so we would all be in the studio and it would almost be ritualistic. You know, we would light candles and as the beats are playing, you know, they would, you know, their hands would be moving like this and they would be chanting different things over the music alone. This is before it goes to the writers. And honestly, I can hear it in my ears like it was just yesterday. Like it was amazing music. And I again, you don't get to those realms without a supernatural aid or a supernatural guide. One thing I experienced is that this whole thing is spiritual.
Well, I was with Dirty Money, and I sung background for them when I wasn't a part of Day 26. So I was able to be around them through the album process of them creating Last Train in Paris. And what I witnessed was a sober Sean and a regular Sean. Like when he's regular, he's very cool, very giving, like it will invite you to dinner, you know what I mean? Feed you around this table. What up, Playboy? What up? Be very excited. Then I saw a high Sean too, which was very dangerous. So that's why I said I feel like he's in jail, and I'm not judging anybody because I think he needs prayer and help, but he's in jail because he's a danger to himself, first of all, and he's a danger to the world right now. And I think there's a lot of people that are scared that didn't come out in the beginning, that are very scared because it's a scary situation. It's not just him that could possibly hurt you. It's people around him that are still close to him that could hurt you, or it's just really deep, man, with Sean. So I would say I think he's in jail right now just for a good reason.
It started with a shaky voice on a popular podcast. The ex-employee, who had worked closely within Diddy's inner circle for years, began to recount their experience. They admitted they had wrestled with the decision to speak out for a long time, but ultimately, staying silent was no longer an option. Sitting across from the host, hands visibly trembling, they spoke cautiously, choosing every word as if weighing its consequence. "There were things I saw in that house that still keep me up at night," they murmured. The weight of those few words hung in the air, heavy enough to make listeners lean in. What could have been so horrifying? Though their phrasing was vague, the impact was immediate. They mentioned strange noises in the middle of the night, chanting, whispers echoing through the vast halls of Diddy's mansion. "I always told myself it wasn't real, that I imagined it, but I don't think I did," they confessed. The cryptic details painted just enough of a picture to leave the audience deeply unsettled, while the lack of specifics only heightened the intrigue. They described unfamiliar symbols etched into doors and furniture, markings they couldn't interpret but that felt intentionally placed. The sense of secrecy was unmistakable. When the host pressed for more, the ex-employee remained hesitant, admitting that fear had kept them silent for so long. They framed the situation as something far bigger than any one person. The episode quickly went viral. Clips of the interview spread across the internet like wildfire. On forums and social media, theories exploded. Some latched on to the implications of occult symbolism. Others dismissed the claims as exaggerated or attention-seeking. But most agreed, there was something disturbingly real about the ex-employee's calm, yet strained demeanor. "You can't fake that type of fear," read one viral comment. Debates ignited. Could someone as revered and powerful as Diddy be capable of what was being implied between the lines? Hidden rituals. A darker side to his household. The kind of secrets no one had dared to discuss. Until now. Pressed further, the ex-employee opened up just a bit more. They explained how, for years, they'd remained silent out of fear of retaliation. "I knew speaking out would ruin me," they confessed. "But the guilt got too heavy. You don't unsee things like that." They hinted at feeling trapped, constantly balancing their job responsibilities with the quiet horror of what they witnessed. Each word carried the weight of an internal battle, a push and pull between exposing the truth and preserving their safety. Toward the end of the interview, the host asked if they would ever share the full story. There was a long pause. Then, a quiet but firm reply. One day, they need to know. It was a promise that hung in the air, unresolved, mysterious, and unforgettable. A cliffhanger that left the world wanting more. That day came sooner than anyone expected, inside a courtroom, where the veil was finally lifted.
I'm in there creating every day, and a lady comes by, and she says, "Hey, I got some cookies, some ganja cookies." And so I eat one. Wow. No, I eat one of these cookies, and I'm like, man, well, I don't feel nothing. So I eat 2. Then I eat 3.
That's nice cookies.
Then I eat 6.
Lord have mercy.
So after a while, it's like I entered into a red room. It's like everything became red. And I started calling out to the Lord, but then the demons appeared. And they said, "He can't hear you."
Demon or demons?
Demons.
How many?
Oh, it was a bunch of them. They all appear, and they're talking, and they're saying, "He can't hear you." And I said, "The blood of Jesus." And they said, "It's not going to work." They said, "We got you. And now you about to die. And now you go in hell because you disobeyed God. You're going to hell, buddy." And I felt myself going out.
See them?
I seen them.
What do they look like?
Some of them, they look like gremlins, and one of them looked like a clown, but with a tiny head and a really big. It was weird. It was the weirdest thing I ever seen.
The courtroom grew silent as the ex-employee took the stand. Their voice was steady, but it carried the weight of what was to come. Jurors leaned in, the tension so thick it felt almost physical. This was the moment everyone had been waiting for, a full account of what they had witnessed inside Diddy's sprawling mansion. When they began to speak, their words painted a vivid and deeply unsettling picture. They described a night unlike any other, a night when they were instructed to deliver something to a part of the house most staff avoided, a restricted area shrouded in secrecy. On that particular evening, no one else was available, and they were told to go. As they pushed open the heavy, ornate door, they found themselves standing in a room that felt like it didn't belong to this world. The walls were covered in symbols, intricate, geometric designs etched into the plaster, some of which shimmered faintly under dim, flickering light. Black candles stood around the room, their wax dripping in deliberate, almost ritualistic patterns. It wasn't just eerie, it felt intentional. But it wasn't just the visuals that unnerved them. The ex-employee paused as they described what they heard next: faint chanting. Low, rhythmic tones that seemed to echo from everywhere at once. At first, they thought it might be a recording hidden in the walls. But as they stood frozen in the doorway, the sound grew louder, and unmistakably human. The chants reverberated through the space, vibrating in their chest like a physical force. They gathered themselves and stepped further into the room. That's when they realized they had interrupted something. Through a partially open interior door, they caught a glimpse of several figures cloaked in dark robes. These weren't ornamental outfits meant for theatrics, they said. The robes were heavy, concealing everything but glinting metallic accessories that appeared to mark roles or status within the group. At the center sat a figure on what resembled a throne, its woodwork engraved with the same strange symbols. The figure raised a hand, and the chanting stopped, instantly. The room was plunged into the thickest silence the witness had ever experienced. Then, one of the robed figures turned and saw them. Their voice broke slightly as they recalled what happened next. They turned and ran. Heart pounding, they locked themselves in their room and didn't sleep that night, or many nights after. "I knew I wasn't supposed to see that," they told the court. "From then on, everything in the house felt different, like it was watching me back." They tearfully recalled how, weeks later, they overheard staff refer to that hidden space by name, the inner sanctum. It was spoken of only in whispers, described as strictly off-limits to all but a select few. Inside that space, they claimed, reality itself seemed to bend. Nothing felt normal. Witnessing that moment, the ex-employee testified, left them feeling like both their safety and their sanity were hanging by a thread.
They diagnosed me as schizophrenic and bipolar. The same thing kind of like what Fred said he was going through. But I didn't experience thoughts. I experienced other thoughts of being harmed and stuff. You start doing things. I was like walking around Rochester, bro. Like it's like I really like lost myself for like years. And I don't cry about this no more because I'm stronger. But it's like I was going crazy, bro, trying to figure out like what is going on, and the things that I was feeling are coming to light now, and I'd be like, whoa, that had to be God, intervening and removing me from that situation because it could have got really, really bad. I don't know why somebody that evil would. I don't get it. I don't know why somebody would do that to a talented, passionate people.
Yeah.
We talented, passionate people. I don't understand. No, it's okay, bro. I don't understand why someone would sit down and think about hurting someone. I don't know. Or laugh about it after they do it, Like, I don't get it. That's why I said none of them are innocent. I'm not here to expose anybody, but none of them are innocent, man. Like, none of them are innocent. Y'all all coming after this man for millions of dollars when y'all were a part of it as well. Y'all were down too. Like, that's not fair. That's not fair to him. It's not fair.
Did you ever confront Diddy about this?
I kept trying to get in contact with him because all I wanted was an apology. All I kept saying, like, could you apologize? Like, could you just apologize for what I can't talk about right now? But I just wanted him to apologize because something was wrong with me, man. Something was wrong. And like when your last Vlad interview, you could look at me and tell like something was wrong. Like I wasn't the enthused person. I wasn't cute. I looked like stressed. I looked like I was in a dark place. So like you could tell like something was wrong. Like
that is said towards the end of this video. He said that was very interesting. He said, Q said, had never have came up, I would have never spoken about it because I ain't no snitch. I would have just kept it to myself. That was very, 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 very telling. That was very telling. You could tell that something terrible happened to him. Something extremely traumatic happened to him. So obviously something very traumatic and terrible happened to him at the hands of Diddy. But you can also see that there is a level of forgiveness that Q has.
The courtroom was steeped in silence as the ex-employee's testimony continued, each word more damning than the last. Diddy sat at the defense table, his gaze fixed on the desk in front of him. At first, his expression betrayed nothing, a carefully cultivated stoicism, second nature after decades in the spotlight. But as the ex-employee began to describe specific details of the alleged rituals, the cracks began to show. Jurors exchanged uneasy glances, their faces mirroring the growing tension that rippled across the room. Even the gallery seemed to hold its breath as the story unfolded further. According to the testimony, there was one night that stood out above the rest. A night that the ex-employee claimed Diddy stood at the center of something impossible to explain. In a ceremony held inside the now infamous inner sanctum, they described seeing Diddy surrounded by robed figures. They alleged Diddy was not just present, he was leading. Standing in the middle, he orchestrated the atmosphere with words the ex-employee couldn't fully understand. Chants echoed through the space, repeated in unison by those around him. Participants moved their hands in strange, synchronized gestures, intentional, deliberate, and completely foreign. The ex-employee paused, clearly emotional, before adding, "It felt like I'd walked into something I was never meant to see." At first, Diddy stared straight ahead, unmoved. But as the testimony intensified, his expression began to shift. His jaw tightened. His lips pressed into a thin, hard line. A faint shake of his head became visible. By the time the witness described hearing what they believed was a direct command from Diddy during the ritual, a command that held the room spellbound, his posture changed. Diddy leaned forward, hands clenching into fists on the table, tension visibly radiating off of him. It was when the ex-employee explained what they believed the rituals were truly about that everything came to a head. They said it was about power, the witness told the court. That's what these rituals were for: control, influence. Diddy shook his head furiously, muttering something under his breath. The courtroom strained to hear. Then came the breaking point. When the witness mentioned his name directly, accusing Diddy of orchestrating the ceremony with intent to solidify his dominance, Diddy shot to his feet. "This is all lies," he shouted, his voice slicing through the room like a blade. Gasps erupted from the audience. The judge slammed the gavel, demanding order as murmurs swelled into chaos. Diddy's lawyers rushed to his side, attempting to calm him and guide him back to his seat. The jury looked stunned. The courtroom crackled with energy, half morbid curiosity, half disbelief. Some in the gallery watched intently, wondering if the outburst would help or harm his case. Others averted their eyes, shaken by the volatility of the moment. The ex-employee, though clearly startled, remained composed. Their gaze didn't leave the scene before them. When order was finally restored, Diddy sat down, visibly fuming, his chest rising and falling with restrained fury. His legal team leaned in, whispering hurriedly into his ear. The judge's voice cut through the tension as he reminded the court of the seriousness of the proceedings. But Diddy's reaction now hung in the air, coloring every word that followed in the witness's testimony with a new, charged intensity.
Roger Bonds, who was a security. Was he around you guys?
No.
No?
I don't think he was around. Well, he was around.
I was around Roger Bonds.
He was around him, right. And he witnessed all the abuse.
Yeah.
But, what you're saying is, basically consistent to what he was saying was that Diddy was, over time became a drug addict.
Yeah.
He would go on these drug binges. Him and Cassidy would lock themselves in these hotel rooms for 3-4 days, go on these binges, and during the binges, that's when allegedly the free coughs happened or whatever else, and then they would go and get IVs.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? Trying to rejuvenate themselves.
That's a fact.
And then a week or two later, go through the same type of thing.
He's also the person that said that Diddy said that he never cared about making a band, and he never planned on using, making a band successful. Like it was
just basically like a lick for him.
Yeah. Like he never really had a business plan for
James. This guy could get whatever he wanted. There was already girls there at the party, but I believe these girls came specifically to do whatever we wanted them to do. So I just remember him walking in and asking everybody, "Hey, what kind of girls do y'all want?" And a few moments later, girls came in. And I think somebody said they wanted Puerto Rican girls. And just a bunch of them came in.
Where did they come from?
I don't know. I didn't have the
The courtroom chaos sparked by Diddy's outburst had barely settled when the shock waves began to ripple far beyond those four walls. Media outlets quickly seized on the moment, dissecting every word of the ex-employee's testimony. On social media, debates ignited with ferocity. One question echoed across platforms: could any of these allegations actually be proven? This was no longer about whispers or tabloid rumors. The claims had gone public, and now investigators were under pressure to dig deeper into strange symbols, unexplained rituals, and the mansion's most infamous location, the so-called inner sanctum. As part of the inquiry, attention turned to the property itself. According to multiple reports, investigators searching the estate uncovered objects that raised serious questions. Among the items discovered were several books focused on occult practices, some detailing rituals that involved synchronized chanting and symbolic hand movements. While skeptics were quick to suggest these could simply be part of an eclectic collection belonging to a wealthy celebrity known for his eccentric tastes, the similarities to the ex-employee's account were hard to ignore. The descriptions of the chants and gestures matched the testimony with unsettling precision. More curious still were a number of ornate carvings and figurines discovered in secluded parts of the mansion. These artifacts bore abstract markings and shapes that, to the untrained eye, appeared decorative. But experts noted strong resemblances to well-documented occult symbols often tied to themes of secrecy, influence, and power. In the days that followed, other former staff members came forward. Their accounts painted a mixed picture. One former employee, who worked at the mansion for over a year, said they had never witnessed anything out of the ordinary. Diddy, they claimed, was intense but professional. While they acknowledged there were areas of the home that were strictly off-limits, they chalked it up to the kind of privacy a high-profile figure would naturally demand. However, an anonymous source who had briefly worked on the estate supported parts of the ex-employee's claims. They recounted hearing low, droning noises late at night, sounds that seemed to pulse through the halls without any clear source. Though they couldn't confirm anything ceremonial, they admitted there was something deeply unsettling about certain parts of the mansion. "It's hard to explain," they said. Some rooms just didn't feel normal. Public opinion quickly fractured. On one side were the believers, convinced that the ex-employee had courageously exposed a hidden truth. On the other, skeptics argue the lack of hard proof and accuse the witness of chasing attention or revenge. Still, neutral observers and experts pointed out a broader cultural dynamic at play. Sociologists noted the public's growing fascination with the idea that the wealthy and powerful often harbor dark, secret lives behind closed doors. Allegations against someone like Diddy, who had long cultivated an image of control and success, only fueled the public's mistrust of elite figures. True or not, the narrative had taken hold. Online, the trial became a full-blown spectacle. Hashtags trended daily. Content creators, analysts, and casual followers split into camps, those defending Diddy and those convinced his empire had been built on something sinister. Regardless of the outcome, one thing was clear: the damage had already been done. When it came to public perception, evidence wasn't everything. Doubt had seeped in, and once it takes root, it rarely fades completely. Diddy's legacy, once pristine, now carried a shadow, one shaped not just by what was said, but by what people felt in their gut. And in the court of public opinion, feelings often matter more than facts.
Well, my thing with Roger Bonds was, like, I had issue with him, and I was kind of, like, nervous around them because I was in the email, and I saw some things in a personal email that threw me off guard.
Like what?
I don't want to go into details right now, but it just threw me off guard. You know what I mean? To make me be like, you know what I mean? Like, I understand you crying now and of the trauma that you've seen, but what about me, bro? Mm-hmm. Like, what about the trauma you put me through when I read that email?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why it's just not like Sean that's guilty. They're all fucking guilty, man. Like, and I'll just put the blame on Sean. I blame everybody that's in his circle. They're all minions and they want to be like him. And if they can't be like him, they try to come against him. If they don't got the money or they can't get it as quick as him or whatever he's doing to get it, you know, then all of a sudden it's like, let's turn against him now. You know what I mean? Because I guess whatever, I don't know.
Well, you said that you've seen the drugged out Diddy.
Yeah.
What would happen during those times?
Well, I mean, I'll keep it very short. Things felt very sacrificial.
Okay, explain.
I can't. And I don't want to sound like I'm a conspiracy person too. You know what I mean? Because I'm not. But when you're under a power, man, it's just I can't go into details now, but sir, like, I'll tell you, it felt like some sacrificial stuff was going on, man. Like, it felt very scary and weird to where I ran to get help. I ran to my doctor. I spoke up with my family. I spoke up to people around me because I was like, if this is true, and I'm missing or dead or something, I want you guys to know facts and the truth of what I'm going through and experience.
For years, celebrity culture has thrived on illusion. An image so carefully crafted, it feels untouchable. But this trial has cracked that illusion wide open, especially for those already fascinated by the secrets that may lie behind closed doors. The ex-employee's testimony didn't just raise questions about Diddy. It reignited a deeper curiosity about how much of the entertainment elite remains shrouded in secrecy. Speculation about the hidden lives of the powerful is nothing new. But moments like this push the conversation beyond whispers and into public reckoning. As soon as the testimony surfaced, the trial became a polarizing spectacle. Some insisted every detail was proof of a carefully concealed truth, pointing to the disturbing specificity in the witness's account. Others dismissed it outright as fabricated, exaggerated, or a strategic attack designed to tarnish Diddy's image during a vulnerable moment. Yet the conversation quickly evolved beyond whether the ex-employee was telling the truth. It became a mirror reflecting something larger. Could a figure so admired and closely watched truly lead a double life, hidden in plain sight? The allure of that question isn't new. Hollywood has long been haunted by whispers of hidden rituals, secret societies, and elite gatherings cloaked in mystery. For decades, such tales have appeared in tabloids and conspiracy forums, dismissed as fiction by some and believed wholeheartedly by others. But courtroom testimony like this, detailed, emotional, and under oath, hits differently. It challenges the pristine images celebrities project and forces the public to question how much of what they see is real. The music and film industries have always been fertile ground for stories of secretive circles promising influence and protection. But rarely do those stories spill into courtrooms. This case, with its vivid imagery and disturbing implications, feels different. It adds weight to what was once speculation and gives voice to those who have lived behind the velvet curtain. Sociologists say that public fascination with these scandals isn't just about celebrities themselves, it's about our complex relationship with power. The elite live in a world few can access. When cracks form in that world, when something slips through, the public pounces. Scandal becomes a way to humanize the powerful or to justify the skepticism many already feel. And the bigger the figure, the deeper the curiosity. This trial might inspire others to come forward, not just about Diddy, but about the entertainment industry as a whole. The ex-employee's words were a reminder that even those closest to fame often live in its shadows, carrying secrets too heavy to speak until the moment finally feels right. Whatever happens next, one thing is certain: there's no going back. Not for Diddy, and perhaps not for Hollywood. This testimony opened a door, and for many, it feels like that door may never close again. The allegations don't just cast a shadow over one man's legacy. They force a much larger question. How much remains unseen in the lives of the rich and powerful? For decades, celebrity culture has relied on controlling the narrative. But now, with the curtain pulled back, if only slightly, we're left with something we can't unsee. And it leaves us wondering, if these walls could talk, how many more stories would they tell? What else don't we know?